on vacation with your family, having some fun in the sun on the ocean, you realize things are not quite as sunny as they first seemed. And now, as all chaos breaks loose, you begin to wonder, will you survive the dead on board?
What's that? You want to be scared? Come with me. You will experience tales of horror, ghosts, and death. It is not recommended for the weak at heart. Listen in the dark. It's more fun that way. This is Weekly Spooky.
Hello, my spookies. It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. It's time for a little spooky in your weekly. I'm your host and narrator, Enrique Couto, and tonight's terror tale takes us on a lovely vacation as summer wraps up and we head into fall and, of course, spooky season, the best time of year. So, if you're new to the program, make sure you're subscribed on your favorite podcasting app because this October, things are going to be wild here at Weekly Spooky as we do 31 shows in 31 days. And if even that isn't enough spooky for you, head over to WeeklySpooky.com where not only can you look at over 275 previous episodes of the program, but also check out our Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you get 2 bonus shows every single month to enjoy. And right now, we're in the midst of a very terrifying Strickfield story called The April Fool. You're not going to want to miss it. So, make sure you check it out at weeklyspooky.com and click on Patreon. It really helps us keep bringing the spooky every single week and beyond. And as you know, we're getting ready to head into our 6th year of Weekly Spooky, so there's never been a better time to sign up. Join over 100 other spookies and keep it all going and going and going. And if you want to hang out with other spookies and get into that Halloween spirit a little early, head over to Facebook and type in Weekly Spooky's Tomb of Terror. It doesn't cost you a penny, and it's a place where myself, all of the other spookies, and our authors hang out and have a little bit of fun. But speaking of fun, it's about time to go on a little vacation. But unfortunately, sunburn will be the least of your worries. We'll get to that right after these quick messages. The Last Vacation by Mike Ashkewe. February 1st, 2024. I wanted a car for my 18th birthday. Instead, I got a really expensive journal and pen. My mom said she wanted me to remember the best days of my life and told me to write them down so I wouldn't lose them on the web or to a server outage. So, this is my attempt at doing just that. Maybe she'll be right. Maybe she won't. But it'll kill some time on our family vacation I didn't ask for. Most kids would be thrilled for fun in the sun, but I burn easily. I don't wear revealing outfits outside of a hoodie, and I don't like people much. My stepmom, Jill, told me that she met my dad, Peter, on an ancient website called LiveJournal, back when dinosaurs roamed the internet. Both really value the written word, but didn't always agree with the format or forum. So, for the next 12 days, I'm stuck here with my stupid stepbrother Roger and my parents in a tropical paradise, trapped on a boat filled with escapees from the old folks' home and boomers looking for new places to have sex. Gross. Look, I'm not stupid. I know I should be thrilled for this family vacation, but I can read between the lines. Jill and Peter, are going to get a divorce. Honestly, I'd be surprised if they made it to the summer. Roger and I both heard the fighting over Christmas time. Holly jolly yelling, screaming, and sobbing. Followed by lots of nights watching Dad sleep on the couch and crying himself to sleep. I hadn't heard him cry like that since my mom died. My real mom. What happened between them? I don't know, and I don't really care. This is some desperate attempt to show that we're still fine, that we can still be a family, but I know when the clock is about to run out. It's not like Jill sucks either, or my dad is perfect. Sometimes things just don't work out. Sometimes. I'm handling it fine. I can deal, but Roger is taking it hard. Sure, he's 16 and pretty tough in a lot of ways, but he's hurting. He'll be okay, though. Even if me and Dad leave, he'll get a football scholarship and be into girls, beer bongs, and concussions. He'll be okay. I'm off to college in the fall, and then I can finally leave Cincinnati in the rear view and start my life any place that isn't Ohio. Rhonda Canavan has bigger ambitions than managing a Starbucks until I'm dead, or working at Walmart till I'm wearing Depends. Maybe these are the best days of my life, right? Sometimes I even believe that. I'm so tired from driving down I-75 to Fort Lauderdale. Listening to shitty political radio and Taylor Swift saps my will to live. My parents told me radio wasn't always shit, but I have a hard time believing that. Time to settle into the hotel room for the night. Tomorrow we board the cruise ship and start our whirlwind tour of places I never had any intention of visiting anyway. Of course the fucking Wi-Fi doesn't even work in this place. February 2nd, 2024. Spent most of the day boarding this giant cruise ship, the Vanguard of the Seas. It's like being on an aircraft carrier. The ship is absolutely huge and just full of people and stuff to do. There are tons of options for food, entertainment, pools, and even casinos and amusement park shit. Saw so many types of different people. Not just people collecting Social Security either, and quite a few kids close to Rogers and my age. A collection of America and likely the world, just all intermixing and expecting to have a good time and spend a buttload of cash while doing it. I don't want to imagine how much my parents paid for this trip, but I hope it didn't come out of my college fund. Makes me glad I've saved up a bunch of money from working at Starbucks and doing other kids' homework at school. Girls gotta pay her bills, and I have expensive hobbies. Nerdy hobbies. Okay, one expensive hobby, but it's how I met my friends Trey, Owen, and Jenna. We all play Dungeons and Dragons together Wednesday nights after work. I float the bill for the books, maps, and the little game tchotchkes. Roger always comes in and starts quoting Game of Thrones at us, though. We all had a laugh when I kicked him in the balls last year and called myself Khaleesi, breaker of balls. It's okay, he got back at me when he snapped my bra so hard it bent a clasp and left a nasty welt on my back for a week. After we all had family dinner, I started wandering around the upper deck of the ship. Jill and Dad went off to do some couple stuff, I think, and Roger is off doing Roger things. My guess is likely trying cheesy pickup lines on girls. Trying and failing. Badly. It's pretty out here and sure as hell beats the urban decay of America's least memorable city. I don't hate it, but it's so painfully boring and dull. I just don't want to end up like my parents, working jobs they hate in a city they hate and in a marriage that is falling apart. I planted myself in a deck chair and just watched the stars tonight. Typically, you get light pollution from the city, and you don't see a lot except the moon. If I had a boyfriend, or hell, even a girlfriend, this would be romantic. But nope, just me, my oversized hoodie, a little book, and my pen. It's weird though tonight. The sky is all sorts of odd colors, and I don't think it's the aurora or anything like that. I know the news before we left had mentioned something about some space stuff happening this week. I wasn't really listening, but it does look cool at least. swirling greens and purples, all sorts of different colors. But they feel wrong somehow. Some of the stuff that relies on cell signals and Wi-Fi is being affected too. Can't maintain a stable connection, and so I can maybe see my social media for all of 5 seconds. I suppose it's better that way. I'm supposed to be out here enjoying the ocean, the surf, and the skies. Whatever the nautical version of touching grass is. I don't need to be connected 24/7, and maybe I'll enjoy myself a little bit more if I forget there is a world beyond the ocean. Tomorrow will be good. Maybe tomorrow I'll go do some family stuff and try to actually have a good time. I mean, how often does one get whisked off to a tropical paradise free of charge? February 3rd, 2024. I actually had a pretty great day today. We all went down to the pool and managed some laughter, and it didn't seem awkward or forced. I haven't seen my dad smile like that in a long time. Probably when Jill surprised him on his birthday last year. She got him a sweet new laptop and drawing tablet for him to do his artwork on. Dad is an artist, or at least he thinks he is. He loves to draw and doodle, even occasionally manages to sell some art to local companies. Nothing profitable, but he loves it. Jill is the one who brings in the real money. She's an electrical engineer at the university. Roger and I went off and started poking around the ship. Basically, he wanted to see how big this floating palace actually is. We discovered all sorts of neat stuff, even found out they actually have a security force to deal with pirates. We saw a couple of the guys dealing with a few unruly guests in a corridor. It looked like a hell of a fight, too. We didn't hear any shooting, but Jesus, there was blood, gore, and discarded drinks everywhere. Couldn't tell what happened, but it looked like a few old guys got into it with a bunch of dude bros. I think one of the old guys bit one of the dudes and tore a chunk out of him. It's nasty, but if I'd gotten that on video, I could have posted it on YouTube or TikTok for internet clout. The rent-a-cops told us to fuck off, so we did and headed back above deck and back into the sun again. We spent the rest of the day at the pool and in the restaurant. People were talking about the incident at dinner and everyone was gossiping about it. I suppose, in a weird way, this is like a self-contained high school, and juicy gossip gets dished out along with the soup of the day. After everyone had dinner and went their separate ways for the night, I did the same. Roger found himself an arcade, and I think that's where he'll spend most of this trip. I don't know where my parents ended up, but if I had to guess, they weren't going to waste a good day and a room with no kids. I'd found a nice place at the back of the ship where it was kind of quiet, private, and had a good vantage point of the ocean and the horizon. The sky was that same weird color again tonight. I also heard a lot of noise coming from far off, too. It sounded like jets or something. I didn't think we were near any air bases or anything like that. Probably outspending the hard-earned tax dollars to pad their budgets. Looking up at the wrong-looking colors, I saw a lot of airplanes tonight. I'm even seeing what I think are lights from other boats nearby. It seems like the seas are crowded tonight and privacy is going to be hard to come by. Of course, the internet is completely down tonight, too. The webpage gives me some sort of an error, and I can't even get a signal for more than a few seconds. I thought I saw something on social media about something happening back on land, but before I could read past the headline, the page crashed. Something about a crisis. When isn't there one of those, right? Tomorrow I'll try suntanning for the first time in my entire life. No crisis here, except maybe sunburn. February 4th, 2024. This morning I awoke to Dad shaking me awake and telling me to get dressed. The crew had asked the passengers to stand by for an important announcement and that information would be coming in from the mainland. We were told to stay calm and reassured that everything was okay. Clearly something is fucked up when you hear that. We heard a knock at the cabin door, and a tray of food was left for us as we saw the crew moving from door to door and calmly leaving food and not saying a word to anyone who wasn't in a uniform. Then it hit me. The crew weren't just service people. They were all armed somehow. Some of the crew were those security guys we saw earlier, and some were others who seemingly conscripted into whatever the fuck this was. The captain, who identified themselves as Captain Paul Kennedy, said, "There was an emergency situation developing on the mainland, and we would be remaining at sea until ordered otherwise." The military had become involved, and the Navy was ordering all vessels at sea to remain there until the situation had changed. Something was wrong. Then I heard it. A gunshot. We all looked at each other and didn't know what to make of it. It couldn't be gunfire. Could it? Then the screams. First one, then many. Too many. It went on for what seemed like forever. I'll never forget when it stopped, either. 11:52 a.m. Another voice came over the intercom. And it wasn't the captain's this time. It was an older lady, and she identified herself as the ship's doctor, Dr. Chang. She said there was a sickness on board, and everyone would have to submit to examination by the medical staff and security. Any refusal would mean being locked up in the brig or removal from the ship by any means necessary. Why am I still writing? I guess it helps me to keep calm. I need to stay calm and clear-headed.
More scares to come. Weekly Spooky will be right back.
February 5th, 2025. It's bad. I don't know what it is, but it's bad. The doctors came in this morning and examined everyone and told us to move our stuff to a different, more secure area of the ship. We were told to bring only the essentials and everything else would be provided for us. I grabbed this book, my pen, and the hoodie Dad had gotten me when we went to Washington in 9th grade. Everyone else packed what they figured was important, but it all seemed like it was grabbed out of panic, or by instinct. They herded us all into one of the big ballrooms and set it up like a field hospital with cots and blankets. All the amenities and fun stuff was stripped out, and it was as bare bones and Spartan as you could get. I did notice one thing, though. There were remarkably few people over the age of 60 here with us. They're watching anyone who even sneezes like a hawk. We're also surrounded on all sides by people with guns and batons. We're not passengers anymore. We're being held here. We're prisoners. I overheard some people talking. I must be wrong. It sounded too crazy to be real. They were saying some kind of an incident had happened on the mainland and was causing people to go crazy and kill each other and eat each other. Like fucking zombies. There's no way this is happening. This is not real. This is real life, not Wednesday night D&D, and zombies don't goddamn exist. One person even started screaming about zombies, and the security guys beat on her with clubs and batons till she started crying and begged them to stop. She was dragged out of the room on a stretcher, and I never saw her again. It has to be a biological weapon attack. Terrorists, or like the Russians or the North Koreans, or bad drugs like bath salts or fentanyl. This isn't fucking happening to me. I'm supposed to be on vacation. February 7th, 2024. I can't sleep, and I'm not sure anyone else is either. Everybody's on edge. Jill hasn't slept in days, and frankly, she really looks sick. I'm scared she'll get taken away by the ship's doctors or the security goons. No one is taking any chances at this point. Dad is trying to be a tough guy to help her, but it's not working. He's not a strong man. He's an artist. Dad cries at Lifetime movies. He just isn't equipped for this. Roger looks nervous and scared, like he has this panicked look in his eyes. I think he'll do something stupid. For fuck's sake, sit down and shut up, and please, don't cause trouble. People are still talking and gossip is hot right now. Rumor is that if you die, you don't. You come back. It doesn't even matter how you die, just that you come back. We've heard gunshots coming from below decks at all hours of the day and night since yesterday. One of the security guards left a handheld radio behind, and I listened for as long as I could. I think I heard all I needed to hear, though. It's over. We've lost the engine room. The infection is spreading. We don't know how to stop it except for a bullet to the head. I don't want to die. Not like that. February 9th, 2024. I finally saw it happen. One of the people beside me had a heart attack in the middle of the night. No one noticed until she tore the throat out of the person sleeping next to her. It all happened so fast, but it felt like time slowed down. All I could do was watch in horror. There was so much blood. The guards started shooting, but the person wouldn't die. It was so loud my ears were ringing. Everyone else was screaming and yelling, but they sounded far away. Finally, they shot the woman in the head, and she went down. But the body still kept twitching. One of the guards leveled his weapon at the remaining passengers. He reeked of booze, and the look on his face was something I'll never forget. They enjoyed what they did. They enjoyed pulling that trigger. A trio of guards stepped forward in an aggressive manner towards the lot of us, and one of them spoke. "Don't think for a second that we will hesitate to do it again. You need us more than we need you." The smallest of the trio walked over to the person whose throat was ripped out, pulled out his pistol, and shot them in the head to punctuate the threat. "We're not taking any chances. Now clean this shit up." They threw the bodies overboard. Burial at sea. Some kid followed them and started wailing as the bodies hit the water. I think it was their mom and dad. This is hell. I'm in hell. February 12th, 2024. Please tell me this is a nightmare. Let me wake up. Security staff have started escorting female passengers to alternative accommodations. Last night we woke up to screaming again. But it wasn't another death. A man was shouting as his wife and daughter were being forcibly removed. One of the guards broke his nose with the butt of a shotgun, and the rest just laughed and shouted drunkenly for him to stay down if he knew what was good for him. Someone has to know that I existed. If this keeps going as badly as it has been, I need to leave a record of what happened. Someone has to know that Rhonda Canavan existed, that I was a person, that I had a brother, parents, and they existed too. I had the best dog ever, Bugsy. I existed. I had a life. Please, if you find this diary, know that I tried, and I lived. I just want to go home. February 15th, 2024. We've all been moved again. This time we're being isolated to 2 decks, and they've shut down the elevators. We're locked into cabins and being given the absolute bare minimum for survival, and nothing else. There are a lot fewer of us left now. The doctors and medical staff come by constantly and aren't taking any chances now. The rent-a-cops are also interrogating people about what skills they have and taking them to the higher decks for necessary work. Dad should be safe. Not much call for graphic design in the zombie apocalypse. But I'm not so sure about Jill. Jill is an engineer and she'll want to help. She'll want to protect us and do the right thing. We haven't always seen eye to eye, but I know she's a good person at heart. I keep hearing strange mechanical noises coming from below decks. It doesn't sound good, and I can smell something burning like oil and plastic. Hopefully they'll put her engineering skills to use. Maybe that means we stay alive or afloat or something. I don't want to think of the alternative, but I'm glad I'm still in my shapeless hoodie and sweats. February 17th, 2024. They killed Roger. They came to take Jill for engineering work duty. They weren't asking either. It was the middle of the night when they came. It happened so quickly. The door was kicked down and flashlights flooded the room. Dad and I froze, but Roger tried to stop them. Before he could even take a swing at the 3 guards, they shot him in the head. 2 of the bastards even laughed as he crumpled to the floor. The woman who shot him didn't laugh, though. Jill was hauled away screaming hysterically, covered in the contents of Roger's skull. That was the last time I saw Jill alive. The thing that will haunt me for the rest of my life was the terrified look in her eyes as they hauled her off her feet and into the corridor. We need to get off the boat, or we're gonna die next, or worse. Dad hasn't said a word since they took Jill. He has a defeated look like he's 1,000 miles away, and he's not coming back. February 19th, 2024. I am not going to die here. I am going to escape. I don't know how, but I have an idea. I've seen plenty of movies and read too many trashy novels. If they taught me anything, it's that maybe I can make a rope ladder and get on the upper deck of the ship. Maybe I can steal a lifeboat or something. We have tons of bed sheets and stuff that I can use. Somehow I'll figure something out. I have to try. Dad still hasn't said a word. Jill hasn't come back. And I don't think she will either. I don't know what else to do, but I need to try and survive. Looking outside on the veranda and over the ocean, I can see lights on the horizon. It has to be other boats, right? There has to be other survivors besides us, right? Could be the Navy or someone. Anyone. Any place is better than here. February 24th, 2024. I've spent the last few days preparing my escape plan. It's taken a few tries and prototypes, but I think I'll be ready to go tomorrow or the day after. Relatively sure it'll hold my weight, or at least I hope it will. I've saved up a few days' worth of food and water. I literally don't have a plan beyond getting to the top of the ship and seeing what happens after that. Doctors came in this morning and examined me and Dad. Thankfully, they found nothing, except noting that Dad looks malnourished and should eat if he knows what's good for him. Dad hasn't eaten or said a word. He's gone. I'm sorry, Dad. You may have given up, but I can't. February 26th, 2024. One of those lights turned out to be a U.S. Coast Guard ship, and they boarded us. So, maybe this is my big break, but I have to wait till it's less busy. You can hear a lot of raised voices and tense conversation coming from the deck, but no one has started shooting each other. That could change at any moment, though. Rumor is that the ship's stocks of booze are almost exhausted, I'm going to try and sneak aboard the Coast Guard ship and see if I can get out of here that way. I slept beside my dad, gave him a big hug this morning, but he wouldn't even look at me. He did speak, though, and it broke my heart into pieces. I'm sorry, Rhonda. I'm sorry for everything. If your stepmom and I hadn't been fighting, we wouldn't have come out here to fix our marriage. I'm so sorry. He just looked at his shoes and didn't say anything else to me. I know it's not his fault. Roger knew that. I'll even bet that Mom knew that it would get worked out. I don't blame him for any of this happening. I'm going to wait till dark, and then I'm going to use my rope ladder and try my best. Mom, Dad, Roger, I love you all. I kissed my dad on his forehead when he went to sleep, and for a brief second, he smiled, before a restless sleep took him back. I'm going to live for all of us. I have to at least try. March 1st, 2024. I made it. I successfully used my rope ladder and climbed to the deck and made my way to the top of the ship. There were dozens of guards and Coast Guard people milling about, but no one saw me or cared enough to stop me, a little half-starved teenage girl, from escaping. I hid and waited and watched for hours until people let their guard down. I did get spotted by one of the crew, though. She pointed her rifle at me. I thought I was dead and had failed after everything. She just looked at me with pity and said, "Kid, get the fuck out of here." I think she was the one who shot Roger. I couldn't be sure. Maybe this was her way of saying that she was sorry. I slid down a ladder connecting our two boats, and I hid as quickly as I could, anywhere that would fit me. I had started to feel hungry and sick, so I had to make myself known after a few days. I'm thankful they didn't shoot me on sight. I told them what happened to us on board. No one was surprised. They said it wasn't the first cruise ship they'd come across like ours, and some were even worse. The Navy and Coast Guard were trying to help as many people as they could survive at sea, but it wasn't easy. The Coast Guard told me that many cruise ships devolved into chaos within days of the incident occurring. Many were floating cities of the dead. Some were run by wannabe pirates or dictators as floating fortresses. What happened to the Vanguard of the Seas? I asked. They told me that it had been scuttled due to severe engine damage, and that it could have even been direct sabotage. A woman had sent out a distress call, and fortunately they were in range of the call to answer. Did Mom do that? Did she give us a fighting chance at rescue, somehow? It wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, however. There weren't many survivors besides what was left of the crew and a handful of random passengers. Everyone had been transformed to a bigger Navy ship. They never did find my mom or dad. This will be my final entry in this journal. Mom and Dad wanted me to remember the best days of my life, but this was far from that. Unfortunately, I'll always remember these days. At least I can take some comfort remembering that I was with my family when the apocalypse came. My name is Rhonda Elizabeth Canavan, and this was my experience when the world ended. I existed. I had a life before this. I'll do my best to make a life after this. For Roger. For Mom. For Dad. What does my future look like? I don't know, but I tried, and for what it's worth, I'll continue to try.
Well, my spookies, I think that
was a solid way to wrap up the summer scaries. And I hope you enjoyed going on that little cruise with me. I know everybody's been dying to get on the cruise. But seriously, thank you to Mike for sending in such a great story, and if you have a story you'd like to be considered to air right here on Weekly Spooky, or you want to suggest a story for one of our writers to take a crack at, well, just send us an email at weeklyspooky@gmail.com or head to weeklyspooky.com and contact us there. We'd love to hear from you. And I want to say a huge thank you to everybody who's been joining up on Patreon. Having over 100 backers there feels honestly kind of surreal, but I'm so very, very grateful. So, if you want to sign up, just head to weeklyspooky.com, click on Patreon, and for as little as $1 a month, get 2 bonus shows every single month, and of course, my undead gratitude. And I also want to let you all know, Cutting Deep into Horror will be returning in October, so look forward to that. Also, I want to say an extra special thank you to our Patreon podcast boosters, folks who pay just a little bit more to hear their names on the show. And they are Johnny Nix, Jenny Green, Amber Hansford, Brent McCullough, Karen Weemet, Jack Kerr, and Craig Cohen. If you want to hear your name at the end of every episode, just go to weeklyspooky.com, click on Patreon, and select a support tier at $15 a month or higher. And know that your support helps us celebrate Halloween the entire year. Well, my friends, it's time for me to get back to work because there is so much happening in October, including full novellas for your listening pleasure. So make sure you're subscribed on your favorite podcasting app, and hey, leave us a 5-star rating if you can. For myself, for my executive producers Mark Shields, Rob Fields, and Bobbletopia.com, my composer Ray Mattis, and my producer Dan Wilder, I will talk at you later.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to find your way back next week. But for now, you are safe. Trust me.